Welcome to the Untangled podcast, where we dive deep into various conversations and topics, untangling them to reveal the core message and ideas. In this episode, we are going to tackle the ever present aspect of our lives, screen time. So join us as we explore the world of screens and untangle the complexities surrounding them. My name is Michael, and today, as usual, we have the gang. Please introduce yourself, my people.
Hello, this is Yemisi. It's good to be here.
Hello, this is Tonya. I don't know why Yems is shy today, but yes, it's good to be here with you all.
All right, so welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for welcoming us back. Last week we posted or we uploaded the surprise episode or the surprise comeback, and the reception has been amazing, even on our pages. We are not posting as much, but we're still finding our way back. So thank you so much for welcoming us back and for listening to the last episode. If you've not listened to the last episode, please go back and listen to it. We talk about Nigeria and we talk about Japan, but that's for last week. This week we're talking about screen time. So, first, everyone, what's your screen time? What's your average screen time? Do you want to check? Let's all check. Let's all check. What's your average screen time?
Do I even know how to check it? That's
Okay,
the
so
question.
if you want to check, if you're using an Android or an Apple phone, just go to your settings. Most phones today, you can actually search for things under your settings. So under your settings, search for screen time, and then you will see your screen time. Oh, my own is scary. Mine is
Go,
scary.
go on. Mine is
Mine
loading.
is yours is what?
It's loading. So you go first.
Mine is scary. My daily screen time is 10 hours, 38 minutes.
Wow.
No, I know. It's
Wow.
crazy. I know.
Mine might be worse. Okay, my daily average is 6 hours, 29 minutes. But on Saturday, I went up to 12 hours.
That's my daily average. Ow, that's
Wow. Actually, my daily average is 4 hours and 12 minutes.
That's good. Okay,
That is the best.
I mean, when we talk about screen time, obviously we all know that it's not just one aspect. When we talk about screen time, most of the time we've just looked at the phone. There are people that are on computers, like right now, this is screen time. There are people that are on TV or playing games. But first, Toyo, what do you understand as screen time? Let's define it first.
It's the time, I think, that you spend with a digital communicative gadget or gizmo. All of that time you spend, like you mentioned, either your television, your phones, your laptops. There are all sorts of other different types of gadgets these days. So yeah, all of that time combined together, which you're not just able to embrace nature and the environment, and doing other
And
things.
truly be.
Mm.
To my defense, before we even continue this podcast, my 10 hours is mostly work. I swear to you, it's mostly work.
No, please. We don't want any excuses, please.
It's
We
mostly
don't want
work.
any excuses.
It is
Because
mostly
if
work.
just your phone, you have more than 8 hours.
Mm.
And we cannot record your computer. We cannot record your TV. We cannot record how much time you spend in front of your microwave. All those things.
I like it. All those waves, those
Those
waves
waves,
going into your
radioactive
brain.
waves. And how much time you're spending on this podcast? No, please.
I spend most of my time because of work. I'm a digital marketing manager, so most of my time I need to be online. So I spend most of my time actually on my phone, being online, and because Instagram, the best way to experience Instagram is through your phone, and we are heavy on Instagram. So I literally really have a genuine reason. But Yems, in your opinion, has your screen time changed over time? Like 4 hours is so impressive. Like I know with your profession you can't be on your phone, so there is a reason why you have your 4 hours. So
I mean, I have only 4 hours because I've been very intentional and active.
Yes, all that IOS.
I've been very intentional in making sure that my digital well-being is actually that's all a lie. But for real, I'm a nurse, so I technically cannot have my phone around my job. And that's mostly the reason why my screen time is that low. I didn't tell you guys, but I checked on the days that I was off, and my screen time was 7 hours. It
Making
was
up for
seven
lost
or eight
time.
hours.
Uh-huh.
But I actually believe that my screen time has actually drastically reduced because I'm sure you know this. I haven't posted on Instagram, on Facebook, all those
Mm.
places for such a long time. That doesn't necessarily mean that doesn't necessarily translate to less time online because obviously I can go there and just troll people or stalk people. But I've been trying to intentionally reduce that time of mindless scrolling, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, because the reason why I wanted us to talk about this topic was because a lot of times there is a brand called Lush that's completely left social media. They are literally all their social media, they closed down all their social media. And for me, I just felt like it was a very bold business decision or business, choice to close down, shut down all your in today's day and age. And their reason is they're a mindful brand, so they just say be, just be somewhere else, like be. So a lot of times, I realize that we see things online and we're like, that's just online. Oh, it's just online. But in reality, we spend most of our time online. So imagine like in 24 hours, I'm spending 10 hours online, which is like an extreme case. I need help. I'm spending 10 hours online. So that means online plays a huge role in our lives. So Tonya, what would you say, how much impact would you say online activities or online work plays in our day to day like in terms of like different people or different people at different spaces and walks in life.
Interesting. Just before I come to the question, I thought it was nice what you said about Lush. I don't know, is it the same Lush that sells like
Yes,
soaps and
yes,
herbal? Yeah, that's
yeah,
amazing. I mean, it's a very good example of a brand that sets out to help you experience yourself because they sell body products and stuff like that. And to have a strategy that says, well, we want you to be in yourself, so we're going to take all of our advertising, our
yeah. We
marketing.
won't enable it. Yeah.
We will enable it. Yeah, that's very intentional, deliberate strategy. I know they've also been supporting with sort of climate change and sort of
Mm,
environmental. So whenever there's like climate protests, they close their shop for the day.
mm,
And they don't let their workers, because my office is next to one, the store
mm,
is closed,
mm.
That's
because they're
good.
protesting. Yeah, so they're very deliberate. Coming to your question around the impact it has on us, I mean, we can tell sometimes you dream about the things that you see online. You're thinking about the stuff that you see online. We know that a lot of people make their decisions about what they view online. We know that their life decisions are based on the things that are they are influenced by what's on sort of
And that
social media.
has evolved greatly over time, right? Because
Mm.
I'm just thinking about it like 20 years ago, it wasn't like this. 20 years
No.
ago, you wouldn't say a lot of people make their life decisions, or a lot of life decisions are influenced by what people see online or what people will end up showing online or the identity that people will end up being online. Because it also comes to the area of trends. When we see trends are more, trends get more viral because people see these trends online because people are online. So, and trends are mostly lifestyle choices at the end of the
Mm.
day when we think about it. Things that people do, things that people wear, things that people put in their bodies, and all of that. So, sorry to cut you, but continue.
No, no, it's interesting. I mean, 30 years ago, was there an online? I'm trying to think. Was there an online to be influenced by? Maybe it was available to a small, section of of society, not to the widespread society. So the rest of us had to actually go and read books. I mean, go and talk to other people, go and observe things, go and observe other people to make the decisions in our own lives. But now, we've got a shortcut of making those decisions. Well, it doesn't mean it's necessarily bad, but I don't think it's necessarily bad. I think it's about everything in moderation, which comes to that old adage of how do we balance it, and are we doing it for the right things? But I also think there's an aspect of when we first had when we go back to when we lived in villages and stuff, and we had the town crier, or the people who brought rumors to us, and those rumors we based those our decisions and our lifestyles on those rumors from different villages. Somebody in this village did this, they caught a lion and they ate a lion, so we will roast the lion next time, or whatever it was. Those rumors, that's what's happening online. We're now seeing those rumors being dispersed online, and that lack of critical thinking, I think, affects us sometimes, where we're not able to distinguish which of those are helpful to us, or in the long run or in the short term, and we're just swallowing it up hook, line, and sinker.
So, yes, I have a question about identity. There are two folds. My first question is: Do you think that do you think that what's your perception, or what's your thought process when it comes to online identities? Do you think that people have multiple online identities and that people can separate their online personas with real life? Do you think it's all combined together? Do you think that because if we spend a lot of time online, that means if I have like an online persona, that means 10 hours in a day, I'm that person. So, do you understand? Like, how do you separate them? And do you think there is a danger there in terms of like online personas? Then, number two, do you think that people can see other people online and they are so deeply influenced by it that it affects their personality or their identity? They switch.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, on both things. Even if you're not online, a lot of people would only show you what they want you to see. The truth is that you never truly understand the person's identity unless they are fully, deeply aware of themselves and they are fully living their lives in their as their true self. They are fully evolved, right? Let's say you are some sort of guru, and then what we see is really what is into your soul. Nobody ever shows you exactly what they really want you to see. We all have multiple personalities, that's the truth. And we all have personalities and personas that we want to show to the world, because the digital platform shows you all this stimulating content that makes you feel, first of all, when you go online, you have this rush of dopamine that is equivalent to any form of addiction, like alcoholism, like gambling, like everything else. The problem with being online is that you have this constant stimulation. Like you drink, you get high, you pass out, you sleep, you wake up the next day, you've moved on. But you have a phone that is constantly staring you in the face, feeding you with all this information. You want to match what you're seeing. We are social creatures, we are pack animals. We want to show the world, even if we're trying not to, in our own little way, we want to show the world that we're doing something different than what is actually happening in our lives. Because even with reality shows that they're recording, it's all still scripted. There's no you when they say, dance like no one is watching. They say that for a reason, because when you get in front of a camera, automatically you are a different person. That persona is different. Now, can online change your persona? Of course it can. We have stories of people's kids who try all these weird TikTok challenges that don't even make any sense. Like, drink bleach and see what happens. Just like no, drink bleach and see if coronavirus would leave your body. Like and these are people that were raised with, to an extent, an ability to think for themselves. But no thoughts exist in isolation. It was brought up by your interaction with anything else, your parents, your cousins, now online. So I don't think I think that you can be two different people, both online and offline. I think you can be multiple people, not just two different people.
So do you think that, sorry, do you think that you can, when you think about like this multiple, you can be multiple people and all of that, and the influence, do you think that if you cut out screen time, if you drastically reduce one screen time, that it would impacts that in terms of the things that people see and how much information people are taking in? Because I was talking, somebody was talking to me about Twitter, that when you go to Twitter, that is just people's thoughts. So it's pretty much like you opening a book filled with people's thoughts coming at you. So as you're looking at it, like it's like people's inner thoughts and people's inner minds. Because Twitter is supposed to be a mini journal or a diary. So imagine people
Mhm.
just spewing out so many things, their deepest thoughts, or some not so deep because it's public, but they are
Yeah.
literally people's thoughts coming at you. So
Okay.
I'm trying to see if there is a relationship between the screen time and reduced screen time and issues like this.
What kind of issues?
Online identity crisis, or adapting online personalities, or being influenced by online trends, like things that
Oh,
you.
there definitely is. If you limit the time that because the problem with online is if you pick up a book, you know what book you're reading, right? You know, okay, I'm reading about making money. That's it. So whatever content you are getting on that, that's probably the only thing you're going to get. Now, and that's the opinion of probably just one person with yours, trying to stimulate each other. It's just a book. But when you're online, we may be talking about flowers, but then this is like 500 people having different opinions about the same flower. You would always have, especially if you're not well grounded in yourself, you always get to the point where your identity will be triggered, and it's being triggered subconsciously. So even though we may say, oh, um, I'm a well grounded person, what my opinions are, my identity is solid, my self concept is tight. You may have all of that, but you are having influences from multiple places. Now, the people in control of all this online thing, they know this as well, and that's why that's why we have cookies. That's why they show you content based on your preferences. Now, what we sometimes forget to understand is that even though I may be interested in travel, they'll show me content about travel, but then they'll also show me content that's about travel that is negative and positive, and things that can trigger me depending on my online activity. So you would definitely gain more with retaining your identity if you reduce your screen time. The more you are there, the more you see.
So now I think, because then I don't think that we should keep saying, using the phrase just online, quote and unquote, just online, because we can see the amount of influence that online has clearly. So can we talk about a little bit about privacy and cyberbullying online, when it comes to, and also the how cyberbullying has evolved, or bullying in general has evolved over time, and we get to see it in different forms today. Can we talk about that for a minute? I
Mm.
have a friend that was bullied off uh, Twitter. She's no longer on Twitter because she was bullied off it. So let's just talk about bullying online since we're here.
Right. Very quickly on Yams's point around people being encouraged to drink bleach to remove COVID, to cure the coronavirus. I think it was the president of your country who first encouraged the drinking
That
of
is
bleach,
true.
wasn't it?
That is true.
Yeah, Jay, that
Oh, you
is
see, the
so.
problem
That
is
is
the problem is that
so.
yeah, the problem is that there are some things you can censor if you are not online. A lot of times you can't censor a lot of things online.
Mm.
So even someone like Donald Trump, and him becoming the president also reflects the mindset of the masses. And then imagine those masses online pushing a narrative. So this is just, you see him on TV. Not everybody has a TV, but everybody has a phone. And when I'm saying online, I don't just mean social media. I mean the Netflix of this world. I mean the constant stimulus that numbs you. At some point, you're not even conscious of what you're taking in, because when you are mindlessly watching or listening to somebody or something, some things are going in that you're not even conscious of.
Yes.
So let's go back to
And it kind of goes to the question Mike just asked about bullying and privacy and cyberbullying. And I think you use the words there, reflective of society, reflective of, so what we do online is reflective of what we do in real life.
But that's not exactly true. A lot of things that people say online, a lot of hate that people spew online, they could never do that to another person's face.
I
Like
think there's
online gives them that power to do things like that, because there are no repercussions, there is no way for you. The highest is you get banned or blocked or something. There is no actual punishment, or no actual nothing to keep somebody from bullying, for instance, apart from like the blocking and
apart from kicking them off the site.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a case of amplification and amplitude and magnifying those things online, because you're less be to you're there's a less of an ability to hold a person to account. Faceless profiles, nameless profiles. There's no trace of who this person is. So they're able to amplify some of those thoughts and some of those really dark, destructive elements about their character that they might be doing in real life, but in a much more hidden way. They're bringing it and amplifying it and multiplying it online. And they're being encouraged by a flame of other trolls who are doing the same thing. And so it's easier to bully people. But that bullying is not completely evaded from real life. That bullying is still happening on this. It's like looking through a prism. Got a prism. What's happening on the left side is also what's happening on the right side, but it's just seen through the lens of a prism. It might magnify on the right side because you're looking through a prism. But there's trace. You can trace and link it back to something on the left side. The thoughts are there, the ingredients are there. So if we do want to change what's happening online, we kind of need to link back here and influence what's happening here. And I think both of them, it's yin and yang. They pull and push each other. So if we censor better online, people would start to adapt their behavior here as well. They'll start to understand, well, this is not acceptable. And it's not acceptable for me to behave like this to other people. And there's no reason for me to have these sort of really dark, destructive thoughts. And it kind of goes back to the other side. So I think, we've got to be more responsible. Those institutions like Twitter and co. I'm not really happy that Elon has taken the reins, because I don't think he has the right philosophy and the right principles to take Twitter forward. But,
I guess
again,
that's a different conversation and a different topic. And
that is a very
I'm
different
gonna, I'm
conversation.
gonna bring someone that is Elion's like best friend to come here, or is Elion's mentee to come and defend Elion, because I'm not about to do that.
Oh, jeez.
But I do like what Twitter has done in terms of news. Nowadays, they kind of like put whether the accuracy of the news.
I like that. Yes.
I like that. They kind of like put a bit of a
Flag.
flag to kind of like tell you if this news is inaccurate or is false. They flag it. So, but James, I'm coming back to you. I want you to talk about some of the physical health risks and mental slash emotional health impact of excessive screen time and some of these online activities.
Well, let's talk about physical first. Let's talk about it in relation to your phone. I'm sure a couple of people may have seen some of these studies that are saying how the human vertebrae, like our bones, are beginning to change to adjust to the bends.
I just straightened up.
Subconsciously.
I read something while I was, looking up this topic about how the bending of your neck for 8 hours looking at your phone has been compared to the equivalent of an 8-year-old child sitting on your head. That is the impact that it's having, because most of us at some point we're going to need a lot of chiropractors to help us.
Me and my 10 hours.
Everybody is stretching and bending.
Guys, you need to watch the video of this podcast if you're listening to the audio, because we are all stretching.
No, we normally struggle to even keep the right posture without actually being online, then let alone being online on your phone. even if you're not bending your face, let's say you're lying down flat, you're holding your phone up that way, your phone always falls flat on your face. One way or the other, you get tired. I don't know if this happens to everybody. But also think about what it's doing to your eyes too. Recently there are more cases of near vision impairments, because you have this screen facing you directly with all these multitudes of lights that they've been said is equivalent to staring at the sun for a couple of hours. Think about what it's doing to you when you're watching the TV. Think about what it's doing to your babies, because babies have their little tablets where they are listening to Baby Shark, but it's affecting their eyes.
Children spend so much time on those
Children spend
tablets.
so much time. Children spend so much time. Now, if you want to now tap into the emotional part of it, you have this, even when you are holding a Kindle, you're trying to read on a Kindle before you sleep. That light coming out of that Kindle is still stimulating your brain long after you have slept. So you may think, oh, I'm using technology for the purpose of bettering myself, but then it's still affecting your health because we still have that dopamine that is stressing you out. We still have the instant gratification that being online gives to you, that makes you not want to strive for anything stronger or bigger. Your discipline is dropping. We still have you, constantly, your brain constantly balancing itself between the need for pleasure and the need to be sensible, because your monkey brain and your prefrontal cortex are both fighting each other, finding balance. So you're physically tired, you're mentally drained, you're not sleeping properly. And by translation, you are anxious, you are depressed. And people in our generation, maybe we had the tools to be able to deal with these things before we got to the point where we had to be constantly online. But the generations that have come after us, what happens with them? They don't know how to deal with life's issues. They use their phone, social media, TV to cope. That means if real life events were to happen, an apocalypse happened, or maybe something huge was to happen, nobody has the tools to cope with. That's why I don't know if you've seen some of these videos where they took the iPad away from maybe like a 14-year-old child, and then they destroyed the entire house. Have you seen some of those?
Yes, I've seen some of those
Yeah, I've
videos.
seen some of those.
It's ridiculous. So, like I said, physical health, mental health, short attention span, all the
It's
things.
But
endless.
to play devil's advocate very quickly, what if an apocalypse can be controlled by your phone, your digital phone? What if the future? What if we're holding them back? What if the future of future generations is online and they need to be completely tuned in to control the environment? What
I feel like now that we're here, we need to find a way to do it sustainably, because we're not going to go back. Okay, I'm very sure we're not going backwards. But if we have to keep fixing problems like short attention span, you don't have any eyes to see anymore. I doubt that. Maybe your vision is more blurry. You don't have problem solving skills. You don't. We have to find a way to make it more sustainable. Like
I think
limit your.
I think the word sustainable is the key word term there. I think it's really there's a lot of room and it's possible for us to go back because it's happened before, but I think that word sustainable answers the question perfectly. I'm sort of going
That's
to
it.
yeah.
I
That's it.
really like I really like, sorry to cut you, I really like some of the things that you've said. I'm going to quickly touch on one of those things, and I'm bringing that question to you. So yeah, it's about children and kids being always on this thing, on
Mhm.
all these devices and whatnot. I want you to talk a bit about parental control and guidance in terms of
Mhm.
what do you think is right, what do you think is the right amount of time that a child should be on, or just in your personal opinion. This is not any recommendation. We are not professionals, of course. We're just kind of like just sharing our personal opinion. In your personal opinion, and also from a from a point of view of someone that comes from a generation that was there before technology and also saw technology or online come on. And you've even seen it evolve to the point of AI, where nobody wants to do anything. You just go ahead and ask AI. AI, today I was like, today I ran out of cooking gas and I'm just like, okay, can I use my microwave? I'm like, I've not used it to cook rice before. Let me come and ask AI. Like, I refuse to even use my brain to think. I just came, can I use So in today's day and age and all of that, please talk to us about parental control and guidance before I go off the tangent.
I completely think that Yem's use of the word sustainable answers this again, using through that lens of her answer. I think you've got to think about the era in which you live in. And the era in which we live in today is really digital. You need to be digitally savvy to make advances in the workplace, to make advances in school for your kids. For them to be top of the class, they need to be digitally savvy. They need to know what's available to them and how to use those tools. But they also need to be really in tune to themselves. Like you talked about short attention span, you talked about the impact of light to your eyes, and the other stuff about that we said earlier about critical thinking and being able to still use your brain whilst having those tools available. So finding that balance is the era in which we live in today. So screen time and protecting the device to after 5 hours or whatever, I don't know, 5 hours per week or something, lock it after some time and make sure the kid's not able to use it. And as the kid grows, they get more freedom to use it. But you've given them the ability of self-restraint to say, well, the device is locked and I've really got to go and find something else to do. I've got to go and play with my car, my toy car, if they're really, really kid. But me, I have to force myself to stop scrolling on my phone so I can read a book. And I'm practicing that self-restraint at this very age. I think Mike called me Methuselah by saying I came here before the internet and stuff like that. but at this old age of Methuselah, I still have to practice that self-restraint. And the kid has this tool from a young age because you've protected them through the device, and there's things that they're restricted to. But it's got to be in balance, right? You've got to acknowledge that these tools are still also very helpful to them.
Thank you so much for that, Toye. So I think that I also one of the things that we also need to really focus on is this open communications like this, where we are talking about these things. We're talking about the benefits, and we're also talking about the dangers and some of the things that are there online. We are addressing this thing. I think that in addition to what you said, I think that there is need for open communication between people our age and the generation before, and also the next generation, or people or the children that are coming up to say, oh, these are the dangers here, this is why we are doing this. Because growing up, there was a lot of, oh, you can't do this. There were no, this is why you can't do this. There were no explanations. Yeah. I want us to be able to have open communications with younger generations, with ourselves, to say, okay, this is why I need to restrict myself. This is why I need to reduce my screen time. So Yems, quickly talk to us about balancing out, finding the right balance between, allowing screen time and setting limits, and also even everything online. How do you find that balance? You are the 4-hour screen here, so tell us.
Well, first of all, I have a little cheat sheet, because my work prevents me from actually having my phone. But that being said, whether as an individual, you live by yourself, you're a parent, I feel like it is on us, like you said, our generation, to keep talking about these things and to keep talking about the generation before, so that I can keep on passing from generation to generation, because we are the generation that still have these conversations. We are the generation that can still see a girl or a guy on the street and say hello to them. We don't default straight to online dating. We are the generation that can still make this change. Now, with restrictions, we need first of all identify all our screen time, all our screen use, because I think sometimes we feel like, oh, I'm not going to post on social media, like I said, not going to post on social media again, or go on Twitter and whatever. But I'm in front of my TV watching Bridgerton or Queen Charlotte's, and I'm binging all the episodes back to back, and I'm sitting there for 8 hours straight, right? And we need to identify all the ways in which this small sneaky menace sneaks into our life, and then start using that as a base, because it's only from creating awareness that you can change. Start using that as a basis of cutting time. No TV in your bedrooms, right? If you want a TV, put it in your living room. Everybody else, like with if you have, especially if you have kids, no computers in the bedroom. There's a computer area in the living room, so that we're not just doing parental control, we're also doing parental control for the content. We're also doing parental control for how much time you're spending using those things, because most devices are parents' nannies now. It's easier. You don't have to. It's easier for your child to be holed up in one corner watching their show than for them to be wandering the streets and run into the road, right? So we need to be conscious of where we need to have dedicated spaces where there's no online or there's no screen activity there. Just somewhere for you to sit and be, like you said. I think also picking up hobbies that connect you with nature, like what Tonya was saying, you know, go hiking, go interact with people, test yourself with the dating world, with you stepping outside and talking to people. You know, those things in bits and pieces, they would help you. Now, if you work from home and you're staring at the computer for maybe 12 hours straight, that you need to consider maybe working out while you're watching your while you're using your computer, using blue light filter glasses to cover up your eyes while you're working with these screens, working on your posture. All those things will gradually help you to, I believe, use screens more sustainably.
So, in addition to, like, thank you so much, James, for sharing that. You said a bunch of things. So there are a lot of things that are really, really key. You talked about outdoor activities and hobbies. You talked about breaks. You talked about healthy relationships with screens. You talked about regulating not just the screen time, but the screen access. So thank you so much for sharing all of that. Ultimately, I think that there is a need for us to engage in digital well-being, where we treat digital space or digital media the same way we treat our everyday life, also considering the amount of time we spend there. So whether we spend 2 hours or 3 hours, this thing has become a huge part of our lives. And there is need for us to also practice self-care within that space. If you can practice self-care in your everyday life, you can also practice self-care within the social space, where you can take breaks, where you can choose how to engage, where you can choose to curate your timeline and whatnot. But that's all for today because we've run out of time. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Toye and Yem's last words.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
See you next time.
Last word.
Bye. And hopefully, Mikey, maybe after this show, you can reduce your screen time by at least half an hour.
I will definitely. I'll report back. So, guys, please engage with our social media platforms, and we will talk to you soon. Let us know what your screen time is. Much love, people.
Bye.
Bye.